Hello, I'm Gina, and this is
Cora,
and this is
Cece,
and we are going to read The Butter Battle Book by Dr. Seuss.
On the last day of summer, 10 hours before fall, my grandfather took me out to the wall.
For a while he stood silent, then finally he said, with a very sad shake of his very old head, "As you know, on this side of the wall we are Ukes. On the far side of the wall live the Zooks." And my grandfather said, "It's high time that you knew of the terribly horrible things that Zooks do. In every Zook house, in every Zook town, every Zook eats his bread with the butter side down."
But we Ukes, as you know, when breakfast or sup, spread our bread, Grandpa said, with the butter side up. That's the right, honest way. Grandpa grit his teeth. So you can't trust a Zook who spreads bread underneath. Every Zook must be watched, as he has kinks in his soul. That's why, as a youth, I made watching my goal.
Watching Zooks.
For the Zook Watching Board Patrol.
Good.
In those days, of course, the wall wasn't so high, and I could look any Zook square in the eye. If he dared to come close, I would give him a twitch with my tufted, prickly, snitchberry switch.
For a while that worked fine. All the Zooks stayed away, and our country was safe. Then one terrible day, a very rude Zook by the name of Van Itch snuck up and slingshotted my snickberry switch.
With my broken-off switch, with my head hung in shame, to Chief Zuckaroo in great sorrow I came. But our leader just smiled. He said, "You're not to blame. Those Zooks will be sorry they started this game. We'll dress you right up in a fancier suit. We'll give you a fancier slingshot to shoot." And he ordered the boys in the back room to figure how to build me some short of a triple sling jigger. With my triple sling jigger, I sure felt much bigger. I marched to the wall with great vim and great vigor. Right up to Van Itch with my head on the trigger. "I'll have no more nonsense," I said with a frown, from Zooks who eat bread with the butter side down." Van Itch looked quite sickly. He ran off quite quickly.
I'm unhappy to say he came back the next day in a spiffy new suit with a big new machine, and he snarled as he stood looking frightfully mean. "You may fling those hard rocks with your triple sling jigger, but I also now have my hand on a trigger. My wonderful weapon, the jigger rock, snatch 'em. We'll fling 'em right back just as quick as we catch 'em. We'll have no more nonsense, we'll have no more gup from you Zooks who eat bread with the butter side up."
"I have failed, sir," I snobbed as I made my report to Chief Zuckaroo and the headquarters fort. He just laughed. You've done nothing at the sort. Our slingshots have failed. That was old-fashioned stuff. Slingshots, dear boy, are not modern enough. All we need is some new fangled kind of gun. My boys in the back room have already begun to think all the walloping whiz zinger won. My bright boys are thinking they're on the right track. They'll think one up quick and will send you right back. They thought up a great one, they certainly did. They thought up a gun called the Kickapoo Kid, which they loaded with powerful poo-a-doo powder and ants and eggs and bees' legs, and dried fried clam cheddar. And they carefully trained a real smart dog named Daniel to serve as our country's first gun-tooting spaniel. Then the Kickapoo Spaniel and I marched back toward the wall, with our heads held up high, while everyone cheered and their cheers filled the sky. Fight for the better side up, do or die.
Well, we didn't do, and we didn't quite die. But we sure did get worsted, poor Daniel and I. Van Itch was there too, and he said, the old pig, the boys in my back room invented this rig called the 8-nozzled elephant-toted boom blitz. It shoots high explosives, sour cherry stone pits, and he will put your dumb Kickapoo Kid on the fritz. Poor Daniel and I were scared out of our wits.
Once more by Vantage, I was bested and beat. Once again, I limped home from the wall in defeat. I dragged and I sagged. My spirits were low as I thought that they could go. When I heard a boom ba and a diddle dee dee dill, and our butter up band marched up over the hill. The chief Zuckaroo had sent them to meet me, along with that right side up song girls to greet me. They sang, "Oh, be faithful, believe in they butter." And they lifted my spirits right out of the gutter. My boy smiled, the chief Yuckaroo. "We've just voted and made you a general. You've been promoted. Your pretty new uniforms, ready, get in. The big war's coming. You're going to begin. And what's more this time, you are certain to win. My boys in the back room have finally found how. Just wait till you see what they've puttered up now. In the great new machine, you'll fly over that wall, and clobber those butter down zooks, one and all."
Those boys in the back room sure knew how to putter. They made me a thing called the utterly sputter, and I jumped aboard with my heart all aflutter and steered toward the land of the upside-down butter. This machine was so modern, so frightfully new, no one knew quite exactly just what it would do. But it had several faucets that sprinkled blue goo, which somehow would sprinkle the zooks as I flew and gum up that upside-down butter they chew.
I was racing pell-mell when I heard a voice yell, "If you sprinkle as zooks, you'll get sprinkled as well." Van Itch and a sputter exactly like mine, and he yelled, "My blue gooer is working just fine." And I'm here to say that if you ukes can goo zooks, then you'd better forget, 'cause zooks can goo ukes. I flew right back home, and as you may have guessed, I was downright despondent, disturbed, and depressed. And I saw, as I stepped back on land, so were all the girls of the butter-up band. The chief drum majorette Ms. Yuki and Sue said that was pretty sour flight that you flew. And the chief Yukaroo has been looking for you.
I raced to his office. The place was a sight. Have no fear, said the chief. Everything is all right. My bright backroom boys have been brighter than bright. They've thought up a gadget that's newer than new. It's filled with a mysterious moo-laka-moo and can blow all the zooks clear to Salamazoo. They've invented the Bitsy Big Boy Boomeroo. You just run to the wall like a nice little man, drop this bomb on the zooks just as fast as you can. I have ordered all ukes to stay safely underground while the Bitsy Big Boy Boomeroo is around.
As I raced for that wall with a boom and a bomb in my hand, I noticed that every last zook in the land was obeying our Chief Zukaroo grim command. They were all bravely marching, banners aflutter, down a hole for their country and right side up butter. That's when Grandfather found me. He grabbed me. He said, "You should be down that hole and you're up here instead. But perhaps this is all for the better. Somehow you will see me make history, right here, right now."
Grandpa leapt up that wall with a lopulous leap, and he cleared his hoarse throat with a bopulous beep. He screamed, "Here's the end of that terrible town full of zooks who eat bread with the butter side down." And at that very instant, he heard a clump clump of feet on the wall, and old Van Itch clumped up. The boys in his back room had made him one too. In his fist was another big boy boomeroo. "I'll blow you," he yelled, "into pork and wee beans. I'll butter side you to small smithereens." "Grandpa," I shouted, "be careful, oh gee. Who's going to drop it? Will you or will he?" "Be patient," said Grandpa. "We'll see, we will see."